Hello, everyone, and welcome to another ARC Industrial Cybersecurity Podcast, where we explore new trends and developments with end users and suppliers of technologies for critical industries. Joining me today for this podcast today are Rani Kehat of Radiflow and James Destro of ServiceNow. And I know you both have tools to support that, and I think that's part of your relationship actually is how to bring those together. So can you kind of just tell me a little about where your tools fit? How's that going to help an automation person or a company who's doing, whether it's converged or not, whether it's shifting the load to another person or just helping the person in the plant?
Where we meet ServiceNow is first is at the bottom level of collecting the data acquisition. So we are an OT company. We know how to collect the data safely from an OT and securely from an OT environment, and we take that data up to the ServiceNow platform. ServiceNow obviously has a lot of plugins that we don't, and has visibility to a lot of other sources of information that is very important, that can be correlated for anything that has to do with forensics or incident response and different workflows that have to do with cybersecurity and OT environments. The software that we supply, and again, we're like an ISV with ServiceNow, is either analyzing certain attack vectors. So on the security operations side, whereby alerts and patterns and anomalies and so on and so forth, because Radiflow understands the OT environment and can send up to the ServiceNow security management system the alerts and the incidents we see. And on another level, our software also provides, and again, it's a slightly different product, but also to be integrated into the ServiceNow platform, is how to understand the threat likelihood in your system by taking in threat intelligence, by taking in vulnerabilities, by taking in attack vectors, APTs from different adversaries. And this information is only part of the picture that is slowly built. It's just a few pixels in a big picture that is built in the ServiceNow platform. I'll just give a small example. For example, we don't know, because we sit on the wire, or even if you're sitting on the host base, we don't know who's the owner of the asset. We don't know if the asset is under service of the vendor or not. Is it obsolete or not? These are not things that we see on the wire, but it's critical to understand when you're dealing with an incident, if you can patch it, if you can't patch it, if you've got a service agreement, who's the owner, where's the geolocation of this asset, and so on and so forth. A lot of information we're missing as Radiflow, and that can be supplemented on the ServiceNow platform.
Absolutely, and then I'd bring on top of that the workflows that we bring from a ServiceNow perspective allows for a couple of things. The first is in terms of leveraging best practice, and I don't want to call it necessarily the standardization of the processes, but the unification, and they allow for how did I solve that particular incident or problem for this type of control system or this type of environment in one facility can now start to be leveraged in another facility. We capture that in what's called knowledge management, bringing out the best practices, solving and looking at the root cause analysis of them, and creating knowledge articles around how those particular issues were resolved. That leads to what we call process mining, and process mining isn't looking at the data in your factory or your plant and mining those processes. For ServiceNow, process mining is looking at the operational workflows that you've done and helping you determine what is the next best action that you should take in order to solve those problems. So recommending what should be the resolution step, or recommending what should be the next change process that you implement to actually solve that problem faster, get the system up and running. When you bring that kind of knowledge and recommendations, you start to gain the trust of engineering as they start to see that it has not an IT flavor, but it is much more of an OT flavor of knowledge that we've introduced as part of the applications.